considered one of the most famous and impactful finales in television history, especially for its symbolism, settling scores, and character redemption. Here's a detailed explanation of what happened in the finale, particularly what happened to Jesse Pinkman, Walter White's Heisenberg ending. In the finale, S05E16 Felina. Walter returns to Albuquerque after being in hiding. He visits Gretchen and Elliot, his former partners, and forces them to set up a trust for his son, Flynn, to secure his future after his death. He confronts Lydia, Todd, and the Nazis, Jack Welker gang, who had captured Jesse and used him to make meth. He tricks them and plants an automatic machine gun in his car, remotely activating it and killing most of the gang. Walter kills Todd and gives the gun to Jesse, asking him to kill him, but Jesse refuses, saying, "Do it yourself." Jesse leaves the scene, leaving Walter wounded and bleeding in the lab, dying as the police approach, to the tune of Baby Blue. What really happened to Jesse? At the end of the episode, Jesse gets into a red Chevrolet El Camino and flees the scene screaming and crying, a mixture of joy, freedom, and madness after months of captivity and torture. However, the series doesn't explain what happened to him immediately afterward, until the movie El Camino, 2019, a direct sequel to the series, El Camino, Jesse's story continued. The movie begins moments after Jesse's escape, as he goes to visit his friends Badger and Skinny Pete to seek refuge with them. He tries to erase his past and raise enough money to escape the police. He remembers how they tortured him, especially a flashback to Todd, who treated him with sadistic coldness. He eventually gets the money and goes to the man known for his ability to disappear and change their identities, Ed, the man with the vacuum cleaner. In the final scene, Jesse is in Alaska, a remote and safe place, starting a new life with a new identity. He writes a letter to Brock, his girlfriend Andrea's son, as a form of apology and psychological redemption. Summary: Jesse survived. He escaped the police and his past. He started a new life in a remote place. He left behind a life of crime, but he still bears the psychological scars of his experiences.
Jesse Pinkman is one of the most complex and human characters in Breaking Bad, representing a deeply moving journey of psychological and emotional development, from a lost youth to a broken human being seeking redemption. Here is a detailed psychological analysis of his development throughout the series. Phase 1. Late Adolescence and Lost. Seasons 1 and 2. Surface personality. Jesse initially appears as a frivolous, immature person, living a life of drugs and evading responsibility. A drug addict, he lacks a healthy relationship with his family and has been kicked out of home. He seeks self-affirmation, but lacks self-confidence. Psychological profile. He suffers from low self-esteem and tries to prove his worth through meth and friends, but finds none. Stage 2. Human sensitivity and emotional maturity. Seasons 3 and 4. Emotional development. He begins to show deeper human aspects. He falls truly in love with Jane and experiences her tragic loss. She dies of an overdose in front of Walter. He is deeply affected by the death of Thomas and feels guilty about Brooke's murder. Inner conflict. He rejects violence and bloodshed, and tries to be moral despite his involvement in the meth trade. He exhibits PTSD and depression after Jane's death and other events. Stage 3. Brokenness and enslavement. Season 5. Loss of hope. He is used as a tool by Walter and then handed over to the Nazi gang, who imprison and enslave him to make meth. He enters the inhuman phase, where he is completely broken psychologically and physically. He suffers from severe psychological distress, constant fear, and great internal pain. He became a quasi-machine, producing meth under threat, but he had no hope of survival. Stage 4. Emancipation and redemption. Series finale and El Camino. After Walter frees him, Jesse bursts into tears and laughter as he runs away, an expression of violent psychological liberation. In El Camino, Jesse seeks self-purification, escape from his past, and a fresh start. He writes an apology letter to Brock, reflecting his conscience that has not disappeared. The ending indicates a partial or beginning recovery from trauma and guilt. Psychological conclusion. Jesse has evolved from a chaotic, lost young man into a mature man who has suffered from psychological disorders, depression, PTSD, inner moral conflicts, deep feelings of guilt for all the lives his decisions have affected. Despite this, he has always had a conscience and a human side that he has never lost, unlike Walter. Do you also like to psychologically analyze Walter White's character? The psychological difference between him and Jesse is horrific. Psychological analysis of Walter White. The facade. From victim to tyrant. At first, Walter White appears like any ordinary person. A humble chemistry teacher, suffering from professional failure, sick of lung cancer. He lives a miserable life, feeling powerless and unappreciated. However, over time, he gradually transforms into a frightening, power and control addicted Heisenberg. Stage 1. Oppression and Repression. Seasons 1 and 2. Walter feels like a victim of life. He lost his chance at success with gray matter. He works as a half-decent teacher and a car washer to make ends meet. He feels unappreciated by his family and society. Psychological profile. He suffers from deep internal repression and repressed anger, justifying his actions as being for the sake of his family. Stage 2. Psychological explosion and transformation. Season 3 through the middle of Season 5. Walter discovers his power as a meth maker and begins to feel in control for the first time. His ego expands, and he begins to develop the Heisenberg personality, a controlling and cold persona. He begins to manipulate and exploit people, killing his opponents one by one. He always claims he's doing what he does for the family, but in reality, he's doing it for himself. Signs of transformation. He let Jean die without helping her. He poisoned Brooke to deceive Jesse. He said his famous line, "I am not in danger, Skylar. I am the danger." Possible psychiatric diagnosis. Narcissistic personality disorder with psychopathic traits. He feels no remorse. He seeks complete control. He justifies his actions through morally twisted methods. The final stage. Fall and confession. Season 5 finale. After losing everything, he escapes and begins to face his truth. In his final scene with Skylar, he finally confesses. Greater than, I did it for me. I liked it. I was good at it. And I was alive. Here the mask falls, and the real Walter is revealed. A power addict, a self-esteem freak, a killer without remorse. He dies in the lab, in the midst of his own self-made world, as if he's returning to his essence, chemistry. A psychological comparison between Walter and Jesse. Would you like to make a comprehensive comparison between Breaking Bad and another show like Peaky Blinders or Better Call Saul?